Get out your lanterns, flashlights, and compasses because you are journeying into uncharted territory. That's right, you are now entering Dreamland. Hi, everyone. My name is Stacey Axler, and I am the host of this podcast, Now Entering Dreamland, a podcast about dreams, sleep, and everything in between. Welcome back to those of you who have been to Dreamland before, and welcome to those of you joining us for the first time here. We're happy to have you. I'm thrilled because I get to release a brand new episode today, and this episode is another dream analysis interview, which is one of my favorite things to do. And my guest today is one of my favorite people in this life, and someone I'm honored and privileged to call a friend, and that person is Kara Kinsey. Kara and I met a few years ago, and she is a comedian based in and around Washington, D.C., and Kara, in my opinion, can do it all. She is a part of the sketch team, Dear Friends, which is a house sketch team with Dojo Comedy in Washington, D.C., but she also writes, directs, and films her own sketches. She is a stand-up comedian, and I know that whenever I'm on a show with Kara, I have the best time because Kara's jokes are amazing, and she has such a creative, unique, and awesome voice. It's great to hear her perform. And also, not only that, she's also an improviser, and she's on several wonderful improv teams. So when Kara said she wanted to help me with this project, I was so happy because I knew we would have a great conversation. We talk a lot about our dreams. We analyze a few of our dreams with each other. We talk about our sleep, and we talk about comedy, which is something that both of us care about tremendously. So you have all of that to look forward to and more. So sit back, relax. You're now entering Dreamland with an interview with the very hysterical Kara Kinsey.
All through high school and college, I did not remember any of my dreams. I was like, well, I must dream. I am a person. But I really didn't remember them at all. And I don't think it was until recently, like I want to say like within the past like maybe 2 years, that I've started having like noticeable dreams, being able to, because I think I had dreams where I could tell I had a dream and I woke up with a lot of emotion, but I couldn't tell you why.
Okay.
So I was doing that thing where all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, I'm gonna punch something! And then you're like, wait, who, huh, what, or...
Oh my gosh.
I had like those, I had those things you wake up and you're scared and you're like, but why am I scared? I don't know. I guess I'll just roll over. And yeah, so lately I've started in the past few years been able to actually remember my dreams a little bit, but and because what was your dreams are that lighter bit of sleep,
like your REM?
Your REM.
REM.
Yeah, so that happens at the end. So I just don't know if I wasn't sleeping through all of my adolescence.
Honestly, though, I mean, there are like, so this, I'm glad we're talking about this because I feel like sometimes my like most vivid dreams have, like there's your REM sleep, but there's also a time you can dream before your REM sleep, like right when you fall asleep. And I find those like the most annoying dreams. Like they're always the one where it's like a hot pursuit and I'm like running from something and I'm like, you're never gonna get me, you idiots. And then like I fall off a building or something and I wake up and I'm like, I'm alive. And it's like only 15 minutes after I fell asleep and it's just like, oh, dang it. Do you ever have those?
No, I want to say like I don't think I ever have. So I don't do. When I fall asleep, I'm like gone. So it's like takes me.
Interesting.
And I'm also a napper. Like some people are not like that. And I can annoy people. Like how I deal with stress is I sleep.
Oh.
So like in the middle of my workday, if something gets stressful, I'm like, interesting point. And like most people, like they get stressed and they like can't sleep. I get stressed and I can sleep. I mean, like lately during this pandemic, during the weekend, it's embarrassing. People are like, oh, like what'd you do today? And I don't want to be like, well, I woke up an hour ago. I've actually been having mild comas when no one talks to me. Funny fact.
For me, it's like people are like, what have you done today? It's like, do you expect me to accomplish anything in a global health crisis? Like, the fact that we're even talking right now, I should get a gold star. Gold stars are still to this day a big incentive for me. I don't know about
I wish
you.
they had gold stars on Zoom. I'd give you one.
Oh, thank you.
You know how you can like raise your hand? I could just give you like a little gold star in the corner.
I can give myself some clapping hands. Good job. Say. So you're a napper. This is interesting. So I used to be a napper.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're talking about it, I feel like I didn't have as many dreams when I napped. So I'm wondering if there's like a correlation here.
Yeah, maybe you just don't. Although I will say some of the coolest dreams, so they're not naps, but you ever wake up and you're like, ooh, I can sleep more, and then you go back to sleep, so it's not really a nap.
Yep.
Those are the best dreams.
I agree with that. Like those like 4 a.m. like, what? It's still nighttime? Okie dokie. And then you have like a really, really good, yeah, actually that's a very good point. I do have some pretty vivid dreams.
So I don't know if those are considered naps or not, because they're shorter durations.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't really have dreams like during the day when you nap. That's the stuff where you wake up and you're like just swimming in drool and you're like, oh,
yeah.
What happened?
I to this day, like I'm like sometimes astounded at how much drool like comes out of my face. Like I'm just like, I didn't even know I had this much saliva. Like I thought I was dehydrated, but apparently I'm so hydrated. I've created Lake Michigan in this space.
One of my biggest fears is because I've seen it happen before. This lady was asleep on a plane. Remember planes? Anyways, she was asleep on a plane and her mouth was open so big, and she was just like, this little kid was like looking at her, and I was like, he's gonna throw something in her mouth. And he like threw a goldfish in her mouth.
Did she wake up?
And she woke up because a kid threw a goldfish in her mouth.
Oh my god, that's good stuff.
But like ever since then, I'm so terrified that like on a plane I'm gonna sleep with my mouth open and I'm gonna drool. Like I'm just gonna like, strangers are gonna watch me like slowly drown myself like, on a plane, and then a kid's gonna throw a goldfish in my mouth.
I would say that would be like, for me, I love goldfish, so that would be like a surprise, certainly, but a pleasant one. Like, I'd be like, what? And I'd be like, oh, wait, there's a goldfish already in my mouth. Thank you, the youth of today, for, like, feeding me. Oh, my gosh. So you've been having some vivid dreams the past 2 years, you've indicated. What is is there anyone in particular you would want to share with the audience of this podcast, which right now is only me, but could expand to more?
It could be between 1 and the population of the world.
Yes.
The English-speaking world.
The goal is 2. The goal is to get to anything beyond we've surpassed. So.
Okay, so I was thinking about it. I think I had a dream last night that was a nightmare. So I don't know if I want to share it, but I think I'm going to, because I think it is a good illustration of how I dream, because it's hard to describe.
Okay.
So it started off like it was like me and this other, it was, see the thing is okay, let me start back up. You're gonna have a lot to edit.
No,
I switched between people in a dream a lot, where I'm not like one person, or it's the person is myself.
Oh,
so I'm not always myself. I can be somebody else. So, and there's not a lot of words, so it's like a lot of imagery shifting and not as much like conceptual work. So this is gonna be really hard for me to recount, because like none of it occurred in like anything that's rational. So it was like a small town, and it was like me and a friend, and then there was like this conception that like there was something like taking people into town.
Ooh.
And like walking along like a green field, and then a car comes up, and then I realized like, oh, but that's like the people I live with were in the car.
Okay, so you were like
go,
afraid of the car, but then you're like, oh
yeah,
wait, these are my, okay.
these are right. But then I get to the house, and then I'm like undoing my boots. I had these like riding boots on.
Okay.
And then like my friend is also there, and then I realized something is also really wrong at that point with the people that I live with. And so she like asked me where something is in the bathroom, and I was like, no, don't go into that bathroom, that's like my dad's bathroom. And she's like, whatever, this is closer. So she goes in, and I try to stop her, but then like in that bathroom is just like a cleaned up murder scene.
Oh my God.
And then I was like, oh no, he knows we've seen it. And then like there's like a shadow coming back. I was like, we have to go. And then I changed into the other person and escaped through the window. So I was like the friend and not myself.
Oh my God.
And then I was outside, but like when I was outside, all of a sudden then it was like I was like in a war zone on a beach where like these like big dune things that like not dune things, but like mesas, but they were just like giant blocks. Like it was a video game almost. Like these blocks were kind of coming up out of the sand. So it was like a very large, expansive sand thing. And there was like bombs like being dropped and trying to like make it through. Anyways, and then somehow that whole scene, and then I had another friend in that who was dying as well. It just doesn't make any sense. And the whole time something is still chasing me. Like I still have to like get through the stuff. And then all of a sudden I'm in like it's like I'm in a separate house that has like these like rail car kind of rooms.
Okay.
And like I keep trying to get out of the house, but I just keep like, and so like a rail car is like one where you like enter the house, and there's a room that connects to another room, There's no like way to get to the end room unless you walk through all the rooms. So instead of in a linear line, somehow I was going in a loop through it.
Oh, ooh.
And so there were other people trapped. In fact, like the friend from the very beginning that I was in the house where we went to the bathroom and discovered the murder scene was in the house, and we're being like, what is wrong with you? Why are you here? And I was like, they think I'm the cleaning lady. All of a sudden I'm a cleaning lady, like I'm in a uniform. I was not earlier. There's this whole thing, and they find us and they kill us, and then all of a sudden my brain realizes, like it zooms out because everything goes dark, and then it like its movie credits are running, and I was like, oh, it's a movie. So now I have to go back, but it was real. So then I started from the beginning again, and I tried to do it, but like win the movie, like make sure nobody died. Except so at the end, I changed the end. Like I still ended up in the railway car home, but then me and my friend turned into like puppies, and we like escaped as dogs.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
It doesn't make sense.
So you're changing like conscious or like perspective throughout.
Yeah.
Like you're shifting perspective. Are you, when you were like describing your friend in this situation, or like the people you live with, are these actual people you know, or are they like made up people your brain made up?
That's a great question, because the thing is people change a lot. Like one of my favorite dreams, I'm gonna like skip for a minute. It was there was a person in my dream who was also a monkey, who was also an ex-boyfriend's mother, all simultaneously. So, and it's like they weren't ever like one thing. They were all those things at any given time. I would just like look at them, and they'd be like, I just knew they were all those things at once. And this dream was kind of that way too. Some elements of them are made up, but then like one of the bad guys sometimes was Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec.
I like that.
Like that's what he looked like sometimes, but sometimes he didn't look like that. Sometimes he looked like, so I don't know. Like, so I think they are made up, but they are like a conglomeration of things that I have seen.
Okay, that makes sense.
But they're not real. Like I said, they can be like 8 things at once.
Wow. Okay.
So
Oh my goodness. All right. This is interesting. This is very interesting, I think, because it's interesting for me because when I think I dream very like linearly, like I'm like, this is a story. And what I've been doing lately is actually dreaming of like me going to a movie as me, Stacey Axler. And then I'll sit in a movie, or it's like been typically like a drive-in. And it's like, I've never been to a drive-in in my life, but I've always wanted to go. So I think my brain's like, here you go, Stacey, a gift. You're at a drive-in. But it's like, I've always wanted to go. So I'm like in a car, like watching, and then like, so that's like the first part of the dream, but then it's like I'm watching a movie, and it's a movie I've never seen before, and it's like that's kind of how things are playing out, I guess. So it's like it doesn't really make sense, but it's like my brain is trying to like logically be like, here's a way that you can see what's inside your mind through the power of cinema or whatever it thinks. I don't even know. But I always feel like I've had like kind of like a beginning, middle, and end to my dream. But my issue is like I rarely get to the end. So I'm just like, what is it? What is it? Oh my gosh.
Do you feel that way in life? Do you feel like incomplete
That's
or unresolved?
unresolved. I think I do. I do think I'm unresolved. Like, I would say the best example I can give is, and I need to record introductions to these podcasts, so this is like a reminder to do so, but like to explain something that you would know that maybe a podcast listener would not know is like the Dojo Marathon is a perfect example. Is like I remember like being in the marathon and being like, this is great. I'm happy. And then being like, but I will not be truly happy until I plan 24-hour like, so it's like even at that point where it's like I knew I was happy and I could feel the happiness. It's like I would not let myself be totally happy because I was like, well, next time we do this, we're gonna do X, Y, Z. And it's like the joke's on me, I guess, because who knows the next time we're gonna be able to even do something to that scale. I do think because of the who I am, I'm like a little bit like, yeah, like always kind of searching for like, well, we need one more thing, and then this would be like truly great. But what that one thing is, I don't think I will ever get that thing, if that makes sense. Like because of just the of who I am and like how my brain is. Like I think even if I got that thing, like I'd be like, wow, this is what I've always wanted. But if I get this one more thing, like I think I'm always setting this like bar that just like cannot be truly achieved, which is bad.
So you like can't like conceptualize it in your dream either. You just like don't know what the finish line is ever.
Exactly.
Because like if the finish line is actually this feeling of like fulfillment, because like I guess like you are feeling happiness, but then you're like, but what about this? But what about this? So you're like pushing farther. So it's I guess I'm calling it fulfillment, but because I don't know what else to call it, because you are experiencing like happiness and you are experiencing some like gratification for getting there, but if it's not complete, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think
then you would be going through your dreams feeling the same way, like that's beyond your grasp.
right. I would literally pay like someone, if they developed the technology, like thousands of dollars to like complete my dream, like to like have me like go to sleep and then ensure that I like have a completion to some of the dreams, because like, whew. Do you have recurring dreams?
I have recurring elements of dreams.
Okay.
So I have a lot of like so like some of the stuff you dream is like that you can actually like go to those like cheap dream like interpretation things. I've got a lot of recurring dreams where I'm trying to run and I can't run, like I'm too slow.
Oh.
So that's actually, and that's been like, I've had that since childhood. I still have that. I mean, I even remember when I was like playing lacrosse, I like sometimes would have panic attacks, like if we were doing a drill, because I just assumed I would be too slow. And I like hadn't started running. So like this is like, and I'm sure it like manifests in other ways, but like this idea of like being too slow or going to like move like full force into my body and just not going anywhere. Like my body not responding when I call on it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's trying to run and not being able to run. And normally it's from something evil, let's face it.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's never like, yay, a run in the park. Like, it's always like danger. And you're like,
yeah.
like you can't quite get there. And the other one is I drive off of like overpasses that aren't complete, that I don't realize are not complete.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. So that's like the two that are like the most common.
Do you want to do some dream analysis with me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So I don't have an actual tool to do this, but we have the internet.
Okay.
We have the internet. So let's see. Because this overpass thing, I think, is very interesting. And it's like, that we should be able to find a symbolic meaning for this, I would say, maybe.
I know. I'm sure if I had to guess. So while you look it up, I'm going to conjecture.
Do it.
I'm sure it has something to do with like a lack of control, or like feeling like I can't drive my life, like I can't control my life. I'm sure that's like.
Oh, so what came up was dream about driving over or crossing over or driving over a bridge. And it says, to dream that you are crossing a bridge signifies an important decision or critical junction. You know the task that you have to do in order to succeed. This decision will be proved to be a positive change. Well, what does that mean? Tell me more, internet.
Well, that's funny, because so if it's supposed to be like a critical decision and positive, but I'm like driving off the bridge, like the bridge ends midway. And
that means you don't know how to.
So it will not be positive, or I don't know how to do it. Like I start doing it and then I'm like, who knows?
I really enjoy the voice effect you just gave to who knows, to the point where I want that to be like how every episode starts off, I think. Side note, but I just think it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, well, just record yourself falling slowly away from a microphone going, who knows?
So good. It's so good. Ooh. So when you drive off the bridge, do you go into water?
Ooh, good question. Not normally. Normally it's like concrete.
Oh, interesting.
Or like cityscape.
So basically in all these search results, it also was like, water and dreams, what does it symbolize? And it says that it's like how we respond to life. And if the water is clear, it means like purification, and like you feel good about your life and you're like kind of like moving clearly through things. And like that's scary, because I cannot swim. I can't swim in real life, but I often will have swimming dreams. And the water's never clear. How are you
swimming if you don't know how to swim?
Can you, like, conceptually know, like, the
but, like, mechanically, what are you doing?
I'm, like, moving my arms like that.
Okay, so
or actually kind of like that. I'm pushing it.
Okay, so I was, like, wondering if it was, like, are you doing, like, something more primal, like a doggy paddle, or if you're doing something more, like, cartoony and, like, not cartoony, but, like illustrative, like you see in a picture, like somebody going, like the breaststroke with just the arms, like a straight arrow.
No, it's like, it's one of those things where I'm doing it pretty well, if I may say so myself. But also at the same time, like I'm not using a form that would get me into like the Olympics, if that makes sense. Like I'm kind of just like, here I go, making my way through the water. But yeah, definitely pushing the water back.
So you're actually like, okay.
Yeah, I'm doing like,
for me a lot too, like there's a lot of mechanics. Like when I go to move, the mechanics are really like, yeah, anyways, so that's interesting.
I think for me, like my big problem with swimming is like, it's very difficult for me to relax. And there's like a component of swimming where it's like, I don't know, whenever I try to do swimming lessons in the past, someone will be like, okay, you have to relax now, like go on your back. And I'm like, what? And I'm just like crunched up into like little balls. So of course I'm like sinking and they're like, Stacy, you need to relax. It's like, I cannot relax. Like, this is not right. Don't you see? Like,
well, I personally, then I disagree with the way they're teaching, because you're not a kid anymore. So like the point is not to like get you to like be comfortable in the water. The goal is to make sure you do not drown if you're in the water.
I just want a life-saving technique.
Yeah, like they should just bypass that. It's like, listen, you've missed those developmental stages. You're an adult who's chock full of anxiety. What we need to do is survival skills.
I really need a survival skill. Like, I'm really suffering here.
Just to like tread water. Oh my God.
Would be nice to know.
Like, so I never did swimming lessons. I think it's very important to swim, but that's because it's like a familial trait where like my parents and my grandparents, it's very much like you have to know how to swim, and you have to know how to swim in case something bad happens. Like we had swim instructors come to the house and just like drill us, and we would just do drills and drills and try to beat speed drills, and we would just tread forever. And she's like, the instructors would be like, if a boat were coming to find you in open water, you would have to do this for 30 or more minutes. And you're just like a kid, like, what am I doing in open water? Why did you take me there?
I mean, ultimately, though, that I wonder about that sometimes. Like, I'm like, what if I am in open water and I would not know what to do? I would hope that maybe a kind dolphin would swim by and be like, don't worry. Hop.
Well, yeah, I do. I think swimming is like a skill. Everyone should know how to not drown. But I think it's interesting. So you swim a lot in dreams. Are you on top of the water or in the water?
I'm never in it, like in underwater, I guess. Okay. I'm always on the surface. Because I typically will be swimming my way to like a dock or some type of like land, and then I'll hoist myself up.
But so when you were little, did you ever like, I mean, so like, did you take baths? Like, did you have fun in the bath, like under the water?
I was not like a bath person. I was a shower, like as soon as I was old enough to like switch to showers, I was like, oh, thank God, more my speed, because I was just like, I never really liked just being I was like, this is a large tub full of water, too much water for one person, if you're asking me my opinion. I was like also one of those kids where I was like, my parents would be like, okay, you have to take a bath, and I'd be like, today? Right now, you mean? Like, I would make excuses. But one thing that did prompt me to get more gung-ho about it was there was one McDonald's toy that I liked where it was like a little dog that you could wind up and it would like paddle water. So I'd be like, look at this, so mesmerizing. It's paddling all this water. And then like 30 minutes later they'd be like, Stacey, what are you doing in there? And I'd be like, this wonderful dog, it's paddling water. I was so fixated on it. But yeah, I was always like never too much of a fan. Literally like 9 years old, I was like, I'm going to take showers from here on out, family.
Well, I asked because like I've always loved baths, even to this day. Like if I'm cold, I'm like, ooh, now I gotta take a bath. Like, but as a kid, especially, like, oh my God, like bathtubs are just bigger, and I'm like, it's like a mini pool. Like, I would just constantly try to like just be underneath the water as much as possible. And like get my hair to do like fun stuff. Like I was constantly like impressed with the fact that like your hair could like suds up, but then like be like straighter and longer than it was earlier. And then if you got it in your face, it was seaweed on your head, like the whole 9 yards. I was just like, bath time, it's amazing. And I think to this day, I still will have dreams where I'm like underwater. The whole dream takes place underwater, and no one will like bring it up. We're not like, oh yeah, we're all like in Atlantis, am I right? Like it's not an improv scene. We're like,
That's a
At
good
the top
improv
of the
scene.
dream, we set a base reality and we're like, yeah, because we all have gills. Am I right? Am I right? And the dream continues. It's just normal life happening, but it's like underwater.
I like that. That's actually very interesting. I know for me, like, yeah, usually when I'm swimming, I'm all alone, and it's like it adds to the peacefulness of it because I'm like, this huge lake, only me. Well, I'm gonna carry on. I like swim to the dock, and I'm like, here I am. Who knows why I'm there? I've never gotten that far.
So you never actually, but you said you did make it to the dock. You hoist yourself up.
I'll make it to the dock, but I like don't know like after that point, like why was I even at this lake to begin with? I just want some answers.
Ooh, like what alien abduction just dropped you off in the middle of the lake and you like came to consciousness in the middle of the lake? What is that SNL character that McKinnon does where she's just like, they dropped me off on the roof.
Roof of a Long John Silver.
Yeah.
Miss Rafferty.
Yes.
It was a little different for me. They dropped me off on the roof of a Long John Silver's. I had to wait till it opened. My pants was far away. That would suck if you were separated from your pants at any point in time.
At any point, let alone on the roof of a Long John Silver's.
I'm one of those people, I'm like obsessed with Long John Silver's, which is like such a weird thing to be obsessed with, but it's like such a novelty thing because like there's only a few in Maryland, and it's like, so it's whenever I drive past, I don't drive, but whenever someone is driving past them and I'm in the car, I'm like, oh my god, Long John Silver's, like, we need to stop. Everyone's like, no, we're not going to Long John Silver's. And I'm like, please, like, I need,
please.
all I want is just some Long John Silver's. I think that's my problem in life, is like all of my demands are so low bar. Everyone's like, no, Stacey. But like maybe if I had higher demands, people would be like, well, we need to help Stacey get what she wants. But all I want is our Long John Silver's. And like, I don't know, blow pens or whatever.
I mean, did you ever dream of a Long John Silver's? No, it's only just when you're driving past.
I'm sure I've definitely dreamed about Dairy Queen. So I'm sure it's possible.
I'm sure it's possible.
It's possible.
I'm surprised I don't have more dreams about Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen was like a fundamental part of like my youth. Because we used to live on a house on the street called University, and at the end of the street was a Dairy Queen. And as you may know, your one other listener might not know, I have 4 younger sisters. So my mom was like always pregnant and always being like kicking my dad out and being like, just get ice cream. So there was like a lot of nights of like walking to the Dairy Queen and then just like playing on the outside playset because my dad was just like, oh, just give her a moment.
I like that. That's not. What is your standard? Are you like a Blizzard fan, or did you do something else when you went to the Dairy?
No, I like the standard like chocolate dipped cone.
Oh,
because
classic.
It is insane. The structure, the physics of it. Even as a kid, you're like, in what universe is this thing that has such a narrow foundational base able to reach such heights?
Oh my god, that's so true. It doesn't make sense. That's like one of the best joys of childhood, is when you see like an adult shocked about something, because you as a child spend most of your day pretty flummoxed at everything, but then like when you have an adult with you that's like, wow, this is really big, it's like, I know, this is weird, isn't it? It's probably one of the best days. I miss that.
One of the saddest things Bridget told me whenever she was, because she's a teacher, and she was like, Kara, it's just, I can't, because she teaches 3rd grade, and she's like, you can't tell a bunch of 8-year-olds, like, they'll come in and be like, this pumpkin it's huge. And she's like, as entertaining as that is, she's like, you have to respond to them at the voice level and energy that the pumpkin actually is, so that when there's an emergency around, the children know to be alarmed. So you have to deal with the fact that everything they see and encounter, they want to like take to 11. You have to like consciously be like, and now we're at a 3.
See, that's why I'm not an educator, because I like always will match the children around me. Like they're like, oh my gosh, look at that leaf. And I'm like, yeah, that is a cool leaf, right? And then all the other adults are like, Stacey, stop bringing leaves into the house. And I'm like, this is for the children. Oh, this is for the children. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, do you ever, this is another dream one. Do you ever dream you're pregnant?
You know what's weird is that I have had that dream a few times, like not often, but a few times, and it's very, very unsettling to me. Have you had this dream?
No, I've never had. So here, like, the reason I bring it up is because I know some people have like I have dreams where it's like I'm cognitively aware. I'm like, oh, I'm pregnant right now. And it's just like part of the thing. It's like part of the backdrop of the dream. But my sister Camille has these like very vivid dreams where she's just like the pregnancy is like the main show.
Oh.
Like she feels more like of a in-body experience. And I'm like, whoa, I don't have that dream. Like I never have like a dream where like an alien thing is like inside.
Yeah.
So like, but I have had dreams where I'm just like cognitively like, oh, okay, like that's just part of the information of the scene. So anyways, that's why I bring it up.
No, that's very interesting. I feel like for me, I'm always like visibly pregnant to the point where like this baby is coming, but I've never, it's never happened. Like, of course, because I never get there. I never get there. Everything I do, it reminds me a lot of one dream that I had when I was a teenager that was like really, really vivid for me. Was like, I was walking down a street, and I was like 15 or 16 when I had this dream. So I was walking down a street, it was nighttime, and I like, for reasons I don't know, I was like, I'm just gonna cut through this alley because it's gonna be faster to wherever I was going, of which I don't know what the destination was, but I was like, it's gonna be faster. And then I noticed like, so the whole dream was kind of like, if it was a movie, like the camera was like above us, so I could see the top of my head go down this alley, and then I see through this like camera lens angle, like there are like 5 gentlemen like trailing pretty close like behind me. So I'm like, not good. But then the camera angle changes, and it's like the camera angle is like facing me, so you see me and you see like the silhouettes of like the 5 gentlemen, and then but like I have like this like silver face, and I have like all this like weaponry like on my person, and I like turn around and like take these guys to like task and like basically like incapacitate all of them, and I'm like that like I wipe my hands off and I'm like, the end. And like then I keep walking, and again don't know where I was gonna go, or don't know why I had a silver face, but I was like, oh yeah, it was like, I don't know, a really, really interesting dream. And I was like, this is, you know how when we were young they were very big on stranger danger?
Yes.
But I just don't think they did like a really good job with it. Like at the same time, like they tried, so they get points for trying, but I feel like there's a lot of like nuancy things that they missed, or it's like, yes, strangers should be vetted, like no one's saying that, but also like I think we should also pay more attention to the people in your like immediate like circle, because there are some not great, especially at my school there are some wackos, to be honest. But all this being said, like I remember waking up, I was like 15 at the time, and I was like, I wasn't practicing good stranger danger, like I shouldn't have been going down that alley. But also like I had all of these like, and they were like medieval weapons too, like a lathe and like I don't know. It was a very weird dream, but I always will like think it like made a lasting impression on my brain because I still think about it to this day.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just like really impressed because it's very rare, very, very rare. Like I can't recall anything in my head. I'm sure it must happen, but I normally, if they're attackers, it's like I never best them.
Mm-hmm.
It's always to my detriment, and I'm like, oh man.
So do you mentioned this, do you die in your dreams?
I guess not, but I do. I guess so, but I tend to change character perspective. So like the character I am dies. So like I never like, yeah, because they say you can't like actually die in your dreams, but like the people that I am at the time or the moment can die, but then I can like shift.
That's very interesting.
Or like the dream that I told you I had last night. I think I died, but then I had like like all of a sudden it was black, but then like credits were rolling, and I was like, oh, it's a movie, but it's a movie that I get to play again and do right the second time.
Okay, interesting.
So like I did die, but I wasn't out of the dream. I just like moved perspective to then like go back into it.
That's very interesting, and I feel like that's something I'm really bad at, is like, you know how like when you don't succeed at something, they're like, try another way, and like Albert Einstein said, like, or maybe it wasn't Albert Einstein, but someone who may be Albert Einstein was like, when insanity is when you keep doing the same thing over and over again expecting a different result, which I know is accurate, but for me, like when I'm playing a video game, I'm like, maybe the 50th time I do it this way, the game will register that I've really been trying at this. But like, I don't know, when I have like an idea, I'm like, I have to do it this way, even though it's like, no, you idiot, like this is not the way, clearly, like we're stuck here. So anyway, I think that that's really awesome that you are able to be like, we need to do a different strategy.
Yeah. And sometimes it gets real weird. Yeah, because I think last night too, I was the bad guys at some point.
Ooh.
So, yeah. Because I played the second time I played it, I guess, or I went through it, they did get caught. Like they were in like a jailhouse / hospital, children's hospital. Don't ask me about that. And so we snuck through like the bowels of the building and like went through like this weird plumbing situation where it was kind of like doing gymnastic bars to like jump from like bar to bar and like got away.
That's cool.
I don't know. Is it cool? They were the bad guys.
Oh, then no, that's not cool. Tell me, so something I'm very interested in is like prior to COVID, like, and I feel like you had a similar routine as myself. Like, we stayed up very, very late doing comedy stuff. So the time I was like functionally tired. And I think, you know, with my main activity totally gone, like, I have been struggling with sleeping, probably because I'm still tired, but it's like, I don't think I've done enough during the day to like wear myself out. It's like, I don't know. I'm struggling to sleep. And what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm struggling for a lot of reasons. Cause I did have a routine. Also I was just working out more and I was doing a lot more cardio. And it's like, oh, you can always do running outside, but I find running outside in a city is one of the most alarming things that can happen to a person.
Yeah.
Even when I try to like do a lot of walking, because I know walking is like a different kind of, and also you need to be outside and like trying to train myself to be outside and be like, look at the sunshine, feel a tree, look at a leaf. Like this is all for your mental health. Like it's not like we're walking to exercise. It's like we're walking to be meditative and look and smell and like appreciate the world around you. But so I don't do as much cardio because like what I did previously is I had things to where like I would actually work out a lot before doing a show.
Right, I remember.
And sometimes I would be sweating, like I would just be running through the shower and putting on like a base thing of makeup, and then I would just be sweating through my makeup by the time I showed up somewhere, and I'm like, sorry guys, my heart rate like never came down. Just give me a second. And like, because that to me, like, I need to get exercise is a key part of me, like knocking out that piece, especially when it comes to a show, because I get so much anxiety anyways, where I'm like, do I want to do the show, or do I just want to bite my ankle off and then be like, oh, can't do the show, don't have an ankle.
Oh my God.
Every time I do a show, it's like that. I seriously wonder, I'm like, what if I just fell over dead? Would that solve this and I wouldn't have to do it? But no, I think, because now I use sleep, like I said, to deal with the stress, but it's a form of escapism. I did not get enough sleep back when I was doing shows. I didn't, but I think I was happier with it.
Yeah.
But it was a much more, basically, I had more energy doing things that were bad for me, because not only is it that you're up later and you can't go to sleep, because like even sometimes after you would get a drink with people, I'd go home and be like, well, that's ridiculous, I'm still up.
No, that's so true. Like,
and then of course they'd be like, well, now I got to take a bath, try to go to bed. Like, so it just, and I would eat later too. I would eat late. I would have drinks. These are all things you should never do. And I think I had more energy because there was a sense of like community, a sense of socialization, because I love people. Like my sister Camille makes fun of me. She's like, you would just like, your dream is to fall asleep every night talking into somebody's eyeballs, just like until like I pass out. Because like that is one of my favorite things that I get to do with my sisters that you can't do with anybody else, is like you can get up in the couch with the blanket, so you're already like in sleep position, but you just get to talk until you literally are just like and everyone just like leaves you there, and then you just get to like get up and go to a bed whenever you want, but like you get to like fall asleep talking to people, because you can't do that as an adult, because they'd be like, get up, go to your apartment. Like
you would be surprised at how many people have let me do this, like upend their lives.
Sometimes I think I was listening to, and because I wish I were like intellectual enough to know where this quote came from, but I'm pretty sure it was just like I was listening to a podcast that had Stephen Colbert on it, and he's quoting somebody of intelligence and historical note. Okay. But it was a quote to the extent of that, like, going to sleep, and I've heard this before in Catholicism, that like there's this reference to like sleeping is like preparing us for our death, essentially. Like it's like little mini deaths that we take, like preparing us to like let go of like control and our consciousness and just be quiet and still in our subconscious, and like just let go of that. So it's like training you your whole life to like have to like at the end of our lives, like to be tired, to let go of like our consciousness and like whatever this is, and like go on.
That's very interesting. It's also,
and so like, sometimes I think about that, especially those nights when we get like revved up and you're like, no, I'm not ready to tuck myself in, you know. I think like, yeah, that's like me not being ready for to like let go of like whatever energy I had that day. Like, I'm not ready. Don't pull the plug on me yet.
I sometimes will dream about me making food, which is like a weird hysterical thing because I'm so bad at making food for myself. But in my dreams, I'm pretty good at it.
In your dreams, you're pretty good.
In my dreams, I can make food. Yeah, it's very difficult for me in real life. It's like I always struggle with like actually making food for myself.
Well, I love cooking. I love doing stuff from scratch. I love the more difficult you know, the more physically difficult, the better. But recently, I've just been like craving brunch, and not just the
Oh my God.
socialization of it. Like, I truly miss the decadence of it and not doing any work yourself. Like, I'm finally exhausting myself being like, oh God.
I love brunch so much. It is honestly one of my favorite things in this life. Like, it was truly the day where I was like, I am meant to be happy. There's a wonderful thing called brunch that exists.
Sleep is important. That's it. That's all I got.
I like sleep is important. I think that's good.
Yeah.
It
I
is
think like
though.
it is. I think my entire the biggest problem I have in my life, because my life is pretty wonderful, is the fact that everything I love to do, like the lifestyle I want to live, is not congruent with uh, what is good for sleep.
Same. Yeah, it's so true.
And now I'm sleeping a lot, but I got to tell you, I don't feel healthier.
Exactly. I feel like less healthy almost. I feel like with sleep as well, like it's like you cannot feel like your anxiety and your stress is going to increase like the less you sleep. But it's like I can't sleep because I'm so anxious and stressed. So then it's like I wake up still tired and even more stressed and anxious. So then when I try to go to sleep the next day, like I don't know, it's just an ongoing like it's like how do I get out of this loop? Like like the loop. I don't understand how to escape.
I mean, I am not your doctor.
I know that. I know, Kara.
You just gotta like wake up early and then spend like a whole day just like working yourself out to death. It's just like a big workout-a-thon, so that by the time you go to sleep, you're like,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like where I think like as unhealthy as I feel like some aspects of my old lifestyle were, like I do feel like it's like I had outside time, like I when I walked to the metro and then when I walked to my office and then when I walked from my office to like because usually after work I'd walk to like an open mic or a show, so that would be even more outside time. And then
mm-hmm.
like I would be getting like so I'd be getting like exercise, fresh air, and then a socialization component, so it's like I completed every day and I was like, good night. And it's like, should I have been getting more sleep and probably not spending so much money on like gin and tonics? I mean, who's to say? Who's to say? And there you have it. That was a dream analysis with comedian Kara Kinsey. And that's all for this week's episode of Now Entering Dreamland. If you enjoyed what you heard, if you're saying, what? No, how can that be the end of the episode? Well, don't worry. There is such a thing as a subscribe button, and I recommend you pushing it because that way you can be notified whenever we release a new episode of Now Entering Dreamland. Or you can just visit us at nowenteringdreamland.com. We have episodes coming every Sunday, so you can just check in on your own if you don't like subscribe buttons. That's all for this week, but we'll see you soon. You're now leaving Dreamland, but we'll catch you next time.